Let's start that over. Here we go. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, Best Soccer Show post-game now. USA, Brazil. Brazil 4. United States of America men's national team 1. Phone number is 201-430-2378 because I imagine some people will have some thoughts to share.
I'm willing to bet we'll get a call or two. And I don't want to get down about this. You and I were talking. We actually stayed alive to each other and talked through the whole second half. And I think both of us are of the opinion that there's a lot of really good things to take out of that second half.
Yeah, let me go ahead and say that I think there were a lot of good things, like you said, a lot of good things. But the bad moments were the Marcelo goal, right? Which was Brazil's third, and the last one, the third and fourth goal for Brazil. Pato's goal, Marcelo's goal, both of them bad. The first one we're going to put on Michael Bradley for not picking up Marcelo on the late run.
You put it on Bradley. That's kind of simple. There's 4 other guys around him too that one of them could have picked him up
together. The back line's moving together, and then the problem is the back line moved together in that situation, and there wasn't going to be an offside trap to play there. The back line doesn't step up together. Gooch keeps Pato on side, and Pato scores an easy goal to close out the match after the United States had the run of play. And we're controlling the game, and except for a crossbar and a great save off the line, a couple of great saves by Rafael, and a save off the line. I can't remember who got in front of Dempsey for that header that Herculez Gomez put across goal. The United States had their chances; they just didn't put them away. This seems to be what happens with the U.S. against a foe like Brazil. We're not over that hump yet. Area code 941. Who's this?
This is Steve.
And what's up, Steve?
Hey. I was, my thought was it seems like most of the second half, Landon Donovan just sort of disappears and pops into the game and disappears. It just seems disappointing that you just don't see him step up whenever we're playing some of the bigger teams.
I don't know that I'm down on his performance. Jared, are you down on Landon Donovan's performance in that game?
It's a tough. No, and I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a gentleman by the name of Marcelo that's marking Landon Donovan, and that's a tough mark.
Who does Marcelo play for? Just quickly,
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. He plays for Real Madrid. I mean, I'm not saying that Landon Donovan shouldn't have his moments, and that's the thing. Even before Marcelo came out, Landon Donovan was starting to find some joy over there. Now, it may have been because Marcelo was tired. But Marcelo had pretty much bottled him up for much of the game. I think Landon was go ahead.
So for 35 minutes of the second half, we don't hear Landon's name. We hear Fabian Johnson's name. We hear Herculez Gomez's name. We hear Bradley's name. We hear Torres' name. But the announcers never say Landon. So we're just saying that he gets marked out of the game.
Is that the one?
Is that sad for our best player? Was that marked out of a game?
But is that what you're? Okay, right. I understand that. It is bad for your best player to be marked out of a game. You want him to be effective. Thanks for the call. I just think that's a little harsh on Landon considering the rest of the performance. Area code 619, who's this?
How you doing? Me again, Enrique. How you guys
What's
doing?
up, Enrique?
Basically, what I'm trying to say, Fabian Johnson, awesome game.
Awesome.
Basically, when we face these kinds of teams, it's all by technicians. It's a chess game.
Right.
And I think we stabilized them from the beginning pretty much wrong. Edu lost too many balls. Beckerman seemed a lot more comfortable. And maybe we should have added Boyd, a lot more youngster, give him some experience.
Well, seemed to have lost Enrique there.
He's got it right a little bit. I think a lot of people are saying that triangle's upside down. The midfield triangle that with Bradley playing at the end of it, at the tail of it, and Edu and Jermaine Jones playing up further. You saw it on the goal. Michael Bradley's touch and vision is great. He has another chance later in the game off a set piece. Michael Bradley needs to be closer to goal. He doesn't need to be up at goal. He just needs to be more forward in the attacking third and be the guy that's launching those attacks.
I'd rather have him past the center circle, past the halfway line. I would rather have him there.
A lot of the time, 20 yards behind the half line.
Area code 757. Is this Will again?
No, this is Tay. First-time caller.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I got the area code wrong, so go ahead.
Yeah, a few things is I thought, substituting, taking out Torres was kind of a mistake. I wish Mercedes would have kind I think they would maybe give us more possession, maybe press more second chance.
Well, but here's the thing, though. After Torres comes out, they create several chances. It's not like,
but not through Dempsey, which is the weird thing.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, there is an issue there. Thanks for the call. Area code 813. Who's this?
This is Kevin.
What's up?
I was just calling into the show.
Okay, so what's on your mind? How do you analyze that performance, losing 4-1 to Brazil like that?
Well, I think it shows we got options at forward with Hercules Gomez, but I think it means that Gooch isn't back yet. I mean,
well, is he ever going to be? That's the question now. Is Gooch ever going to be back?
How many times can you wreck those knees and still have the ability to play?
I don't know. I mean, that's the real question, and I think that that second pair of center back is an important piece, and then you've got. The rest of the center back is aging, and we got to figure that position out in order for us to truly compete at the level that Clemson's looking for us to compete at.
Thanks for the call. You need Omar Gonzalez to come back healthy. You need Jeff Cameron to continue to improve as a center back. You've got Goodson. You've got some options there. I mean, it's not Tim Ream's got to get better and he'll grow. It's not like there aren't guys there. We hope.
Here's the positive part about that: the prototypical center back that Klinsmann wants to use. There's up and coming people that can be that person. You just said Ream, Cameron. Those are the prototypical center backs that Klinsmann wants. They're just not ready yet.
Not only is Jeff Cameron and Tim Ream, not only are they fleeter of foot than Nguchi Onyewu, who is so slow at this point. I mean, I love Gooch, and I love what the service he's provided. I mean, I love the play he's done, the service he's provided, whatever, for the national team over the years. But he just looks so slow. At one point, he goes up for that header that goes off the crossbar, which was his one bright moment of the game. And I said to Jared, I wish he could move left and right like he can move up in the air, because he could go up. He just can't move left and right anymore. Erica 757, who's this?
Hey, it's Will.
What's up, Will?
Hey, I was kind of saying about the same thing about Gooch. It's just, I don't know if he's necessarily starting quality. And it sucks because I think we all love him. It's just, maybe, if anything, I think we got it wrong to begin with, but I think it's a good thing. And I think it maybe just poked a bunch of holes in our defense. I think we've been focusing on our offense. And as U.S. fans, we all know we can defend.
It's Brazil, right? Thanks for the call. It's Brazil. So, I mean, you're going to face some challenges as a defense. But to have those two center backs and both of them, did we think we were coming into the cycle and our two starting center backs in Brazil in 2014 were going to be Nguchi Onyewu and Carlos Bocanegra? I sure as hell hope not. I because
I think it's a decent proposition, but I think you and I are more up on this game than most of our listeners so far. I don't think you and I are nearly as critical as a whole as some of the listeners have been so far.
Again, your area code 619. Who's this? We'll move along.
Yeah, how you doing? Enrique again. I broke up. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the expectation kind of chess game. I think we set ourselves pretty wrong.
Okay, well, I mean, we talked about Maurice Adu and Michael Bradley, and they may have been more effective through the first 60 minutes or so if those two guys had been flip-flopped. What other changes do you think? I mean, what other things do you think Klinsmann got wrong besides that midfield situation?
But I think
playing Brazil
seemed a lot more comfortable in that position, even though he just got 10 minutes, which takes a lot more time to get into the flow of the game.
Right.
And maybe Boyd brought a lot of energy, youthfulness, and I think he needed that experience versus Brazil.
But didn't Gomez bring a lot of that same stuff though? But Gomez worked hard the entire game.
I think Gomez
both of them. I agree, both.
Oh, you want them both on the field. I thought. Let's talk about Hercules Gomez. Obviously, he gets a goal. I thought he was a little ragged in the second half. I mean, he was effective doing what he does, but his touch let him down on several different occasions. He wasn't as sharp as you want him to be, and that may have been the difference between getting another one and not. I mean, that's the thing. I think the U.S. was for the way that they played tonight, they were worth 2 or 3 goals. They just didn't get them. And this is. I mean, it's not like I can say, oh well, you lose to Brazil 4-1. It's a good performance because they had a ball off the crossbar and somebody clears off the line and Rafael makes 2 great saves.
What's good about it is that there's only 2 real Brazil goals, the way you think of Brazil. I mean, a maybe handball in the box for penalty, and then a second one that is just a complete failure to mark by the U.S. Outside of that, Brazil put in 2 good goals. But I can live with that because the other stuff can be fixed.
Well, I mean the handball in the box on Onyewu, you can't even blame him necessarily for that. Again,
Yeah.
if you're trying to jump out of the way of that ball, I don't know where else you're going to put your arm. I really don't.
And I
So-
would hope that Gooch is strong enough mentally that he doesn't that happened early in the game and he had a bad game after it. I don't know what role that played mentally on him to give up. You finally get your shot. You're back in the U.S. national team again.
I don't think
You
his
give up a
problem-
point.
I don't think his
What's
problems. His problems weren't mental. His problems were foot speed. His problems were he was just a tree, and he just
Not
couldn't.
mental. He kept Pato on side on the last goal.
Yeah, I suppose, but maybe that's just I guess he did hang back. He had plenty of time to step up with everybody else. I mean, think about it. He's been out for a while. It might take him some time. I mean, that's a pretty basic play for a central defender. He needs to step up when everybody else steps up. But I don't know. I mean, you're going to say that some of that is just familiarity, getting back into the team.
Yeah, it could be, but the other part of it is that he's getting his chance, and if he's not going to seize it, there's some other guys out there that probably will. Jeff Cameron, he wants this. I mean, that's true over the field, and I'm glad up front that for the first time in a long time, I'm really positive about the striker situation just from a enthusiasm standpoint. Looking at Hercules Gomez play out there today, this is a guy that's been hungry for this cap.
Right.
This is a guy that's wanted to be back in the national team. You can see that. Terrence Boyd, this is a kid that's hungry to be a part of this team. And Josie Altidore is in form. I'm stoked at where the forward striker pool is kind of going right now. I don't know that they're going to score lots of goals, but I love that there is so much positivity coming out of those three players.
Let's not act like the way that this went tonight against Brazil is the way it's going to go against anybody they're going to see until Mexico. Basically,
that's true.
Saying that there's not another team in this confederation that can
press their style upon the U.S.
Can impress themselves upon the U.S. the way Brazil does, except for maybe Mexico on their best day. I mean, that's certainly what happened in the Gold Cup. So what you're trying to do, what Klinsmann's trying to do, is get the U.S. from that Gold Cup performance, because that was quintessential Bradley U.S., right? They score 2 goals, but the defensive breakdowns, and Mexico's just a better team with more of the ball. They're dominating, okay? There were stretches in that game where the U.S. looked pretty good and controlled some of the possession. But what you want to be able to do is to take your game to everybody. Did they take their game to Brazil tonight? No, they sure didn't. At least not in
last 20 minutes. I'll give them that. But yeah, you're right. As a whole, they did not.
Not in large enough stretches, and they certainly didn't. And that's the issue: is you can press and press and press. And eventually, you're going to tire, and then you better hope that your opponent has tired enough that they can't get themselves into scoring positions, which is what Brazil does. That's what Brazil does. And they've got Pato, and they've got Neymar, and they've got Leandro, and they've got Hulk. They've got all of these guys. They just turn out talent. We're not talent-wise, we're not there. We got beat by Brazilian talent tonight. We didn't get necessarily beat by, beat because the United States isn't a decent team. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Trying to wash away the performance and say it was great. It certainly wasn't. Phone number 201-430-2378, and we've got a Skype call. I believe this is Rob. What's up, Rob?
Hey guys, what's going on?
We're talking about the game, Rob.
Yeah, it was. I kind of liked the performance at the end. I thought we did pretty good effort. I was really impressed with Herc. I wasn't really a fan of his coming into the game, but he really impressed me. I like the 2-striker formation we put at the end. I'd like to see Josie and Herc work together a little bit. I think that would work pretty good.
Well, where do you? Okay, let's. I don't know that we've established anything that Clemson's going to stick with this 4-3-2-1 or whatever that ended up being at the end of the night. But where do you stick Clint Dempsey? You've got to get him on the field. Where do you stick Clint Dempsey if you're going with 2 strikers?
I think you got to put him up under both the strikers. If you go with 2, put him in the center attack and mid.
Like a diamond formation?
In a hole. Okay, so you want to play him there with 2 strikers, and then what does the rest of your midfield look like?
I do kind of like we did against Slovenia. Put Dempsey up under the strikers, Bradley on the right, or Bradley in the back, Donovan on the right, maybe Torres on the left.
That's a lot of offense. I mean, it gets the first round of CONCACAF qualifying teams. You can probably get away with that style, but I don't think. First of all, Klinsmann has shown himself to be very attached to the likes of Adu, Jones, Bradley. Well, I don't see him going with just one of those 3. 2 of them will almost always be a choice.
And this is why he wants to do that, because he wants those destroyer types in midfield to get the ball back. It's about keeping the ball, but it's also about getting the ball back when you lose it. And if you take out one of those guys, Adu, Jones, Bradley, if you're playing him there, you lose some of that bite. You lose that guy that's going to get you the ball back.
If you play that type of formation, you have to be willing to give up Bradley as an offensive component. He's not going to be able to go forward and participate in the offense when he has that much defensive responsibility.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of that tonight, except for one moment where Maurice Adu gives the ball up. Bradley goes and recovers it back towards midfield, takes a turn, ends up finding Fabian Johnson and gets Hercules Gomez the goal. That's the only bit of moment. That's the only moment where you thought, okay, and he had did he duff a shot at one point? Or I'm blank. He had the header off that Raphael saved. I think that was off of a set piece. So it's not exactly you're trading one for the other. Like you said, he can be a two-way player, and he will be a two-way player, but he's not going to be as effective as a part of the attack if you need him back there playing where he was tonight to break up.
Are we at all concerned about the lack of a role that Dempsey played in this game when we finally get in? We've been playing up for months and months and months. Donovan and Dempsey, when are they going to be on the field together? They finally get on the field together, and Dempsey, outside of one great ball over the top to Herc, he failed to really find his way into this game.
Was this the right game to kind of try to judge something once he gets in there? I mean, he got 20 minutes or so, right?
I think you're right. On a start, when he can establish a rhythm, I think there's a little bit better way to really evaluate him.
This was dipping. I'll get your thoughts on this in a second, Rob. This was dipping your toe in the water with Clint Dempsey. He's coming off of an injury. He's getting back into it. You get him 20 minutes. You're not going to look at this game and go, okay, we need to judge how this team at full strength looks, and doesn't even have Josie outdoor, so it's not quite there. How this team at full strength looks based on that last 20 minutes against that team, against Brazil, who's going to control the ball for the most part. You're not going to be running up against those teams very often, like I said, unless it's Mexico. What do you make of Dempsey's performance, Rob?
He looked pretty good. He looked kind of tired at the end, but that's pretty much to be expected. He looked crisp on the ball, though, so I think he had that one pass in towards Herc that set up the Terrence Boyd save. I think that was him. Right.
Yeah, he had a couple of – is that the long ball you're talking about there? There were a couple of moments. Thanks for the call, Rob. A couple of moments. Nothing that kind of jumped out at you, and he probably should have had a goal because he probably should have gotten it on the end of that ball across the front of goal there off of Hercules Gomez's head. So
you're going to be shocked if you don't see Dempsey, Donovan, and Altidore at least for the Canada game going into the first World Cup qualifying game, right? That has to happen this next game.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's odd. Phone number is 201-430-2378 if you want to get in. It's odd. We're going to go from Scotland, which is not a great test. A kind of a hardworking, spirited team. It's going to try to shut you down. They're not going to generate a ton of offense. To Brazil, who is Brazil, and bring all of that flair and all of that attacking ability, and they will kick you, as we saw with Marcelo. They will kick you when they can. And then we're going to go into Canada. And honestly, I don't know where Canada stands. Do you know where Canada stands? I mean, I'm not afraid of Canada. I'm thinking that the United States should win that game fairly comfortably. But what does that tell us if they do? Does it tell us anything?
What I like about this though is going from Brazil to going to the Canada game is the U.S. national team is going to be going at a speed that is going to be really comfortable. When they get to the Canada game, the U.S. is going to be playing at a higher speed, that they're going to be used to matching at a higher speed that Brazil is doing. Yeah. And then when they go into the Canada game, they're going to have to downshift a bit, but they're going to be hitting the ground running. I think it's going to be a bit of a culture shock going from Brazil to Canada, but I think it's a good type of culture shock because they just were having to play at such a quick pace, high pressure, and they're going to be able to try to basically inflict the style they got inflicted on them tonight against Canada.
Right, you've kind of been normalized to Brazil speed now, and you're going to walk into BMO Field on Sunday, and it's going to be a lot different. It's like it's almost like using a weighted bat in baseball. You use the weighted bat for a couple of swings, and then you pick up your regular bat, and all of a sudden it feels much lighter. So it's kind of, I mean, that's the analogy that I'm bringing. Yeah, Brazil are our donut, as the producer has just put in the chat room. Yeah, that's exactly it. Brazil's the donut.
I got a tweet here from Footy Elmo, and he says, the 1-0 loss to France felt like the end of the world. Now 4-1 loss to Brazil leaves me encouraged. Why I love footy.
Right. Yeah.
I do feel that way. And you know what else I feel a big difference from just like maybe 6-7 months ago? The left back position. I feel so much more encouraged about our left back position up until Edgar Castillo came in. And now I I don't worry about it. I think of it as almost kind of like with Stevie Cherundolo, and I don't mean to build Fabian Johnson too much too early, but I have that comfort level that I'm not wondering who's going to start there. I'm not wondering what I'm going to get out of that position. I think that Fabian Johnson's brought a consistency to that position that we immensely needed.
It's a long way from Johnny Bornstein. It's a long way from Johnny Bornstein.
Oh, yeah.
Just in terms of comfort level, you said left back. Talking about right back, Steve Trundle, I thought played fine. I mean, I don't remember anything.
You're marking Neymar. He's not going to get much out of this game.
Yeah, there wasn't that. And then Michael Parkhurst comes in and gets a little bit of a look. I don't remember how long he was in, what minute he came in, but
he might have made the Neymar mixtape.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it's not like Neymar skinned him for a goal on that. It was yeah. He
showed too much.
He should not have committed like that. He was going to get skinned by Neymar. But other than that, and neither Michael Parkhurst or Steve Cherundolo are going to be facing a player of Neymar's caliber ever in terms of qualifying. So I don't know that we should be overly worried about how they did. And I mean, I thought Neymar was okay. I think he was, good because he is good. But I don't know that we were like in awe of Neymar all night, were we? I mean, it was other guys that were doing the damage.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. Neymar, I think Cherundolo did a pretty good job of, first of all, not allowing Neymar to get isolated. Then credit that goes to Donovan as well. They brought the double team fairly early on Neymar consistently, so because everyone knows when Neymar gets you isolated, that's when he does his dirtiness, And Donovan helped with that, neutralizing Neymar to a bit. You can see that what happens the one time they do let him get free on the end line. He gets all the way down there and crosses it back across, and the U.S. goes down 3-0 at that point.
Yeah.
He's that dangerous, but you're right. The U.S. isn't going to see any kind of player like Neymar anytime soon. But good, interesting thing from the producer, Klinsmann quote after the game. I guess he's saying that he wants the U.S. to get nastier. I agree with that.
A couple of things popping up on Twitter. Klinsmann said Onyewo's PK wasn't a handball and was outside of the box, which I don't even know if I looked to see if it was outside.
I didn't even bother to look at that, I guess.
No, and I think it was it's such a 50-50 call. I'm not sure how you can really complain about it. And the other thing was Brazil. This is from Klinsmann. Brazil's fourth goal was offside. It pisses me off, he said. It wasn't off. I mean, if it was off by an arm. I mean, by a
tie goes to the runner.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving that benefit of the doubt more often than not. I mean, the officiating really isn't something we should complain about. There were a couple of moments.
I got nervous early on because the referee chose to take such a advanced role in the game with the PK call, two pretty soft yellows early on, but he managed to dial it back a bit, which is really interesting because the game got nastier as it went on.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe the cards would start flying even more. Yeah. Marcelo obviously mixing it up. Stevie Cherundolo getting a mix. Jermaine Jones just about hacks down Nike's money tree in Neymar. What's he doing leaving that second foot in there like that?
And that's the thing. I'm watching Twitter during that little run of play too, and there's a split opinion on that. And both you and I were kind of aghast, like, "Oh, that's just dumb. You shouldn't be sweeping the leg like that." I mean, it's Cobra Kai stuff, and maybe he was sending a message, and that's what Twitter was saying, that it seemed that Jermaine Jones was kind of putting the brakes on for the United States. Brazil was dominating that.
The only message that sent is that I know now that Jermaine Jones is just kind of a dick.
Well, I mean, you could say it that way, or, I mean, and this is the thing, depending on the player and who he plays for, if he plays for your team, you want a tough player, you want a guy who's going to go and stand up for your team and get nasty when it needs to happen. Because it's
that's not the type of nastiness I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that type of nastiness. They need to not let Brazil. They need to pressure Brazil when they're facing the back four. There was way too much time on the ball that Brazil was allowed. Press them. If you got to foul them in midfield. Foul them out in the open area. There was just not. There was way too much comfort with Brazil on the ball, and the U.S. First of all, the bucket in the middle, Bradley and Jermaine Jones playing too far off the people advancing with the ball, allowing them just to come all the way up to about 20 yards out before they press that ball.
Okay, sorry, I had a moment there.
Jay Rodius.
Look, phone number is 201-430-2378 if you have any thoughts on this nasty issue. Klinsmann is saying that the U.S. needs to get nastier. I don't know that the U.S. has ever had a problem being nasty. And Aguchi Onyewu has that reputation of being a rock and can
but not nasty.
Phil Shane, no, I mean he can stick a foot in, and he will.
Outside Jermaine Jones, who in the U.S. even has that reputation?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that it's not like the United States has ever backed down from a fight. It's not like the United States has ever gone into kind of a knockdown, drag out game and come out looking like they just backed away.
See, I think you're interpreting this the wrong way. I think Klinsman's saying he wants them to be the procrastinators. I think he was saying that he wants the U.S. to go out and be the nastier of the people. You're talking about them reacting to, in a way.
That's not the right word. You said procrastinators. I don't think that's the right word.
Wow,
right.
I did say procrastinator. That is not what I meant. I meant the
the instigators is what you're saying.
something like that. Yeah. Wow, did I say procrastinators?
Oh, wait, right. He's saying you were interpreting this as he wants the United States to take the game to the opponent.
Antagonists. That's what I wanted.
Antagonist. He wants the United States to be the one putting pressure on the other team. Again, I think the issue is with Brazil, you end up backing down. Because you don't want to get beat. Because you don't want to get made to look stupid by Neymar or Pato or Leandro or Sandro or any of these guys in this team or in the full team. And again, this is a young kind of experimental Olympic style Brazilian team, and they're just buckets of talent. But again, this is an improvement from the last Brazil game, right? I mean, it's not like the scoreline's bad, but I think if you want to talk about it in those cliche.
The last one being the Confederation Cup final when they were up 2-0.
The friendly after the World Cup.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. Look, if you want to talk about it in cliched soccer terms, the scoreline flatters the United States, or it's hard. Flatters Brazil, or it's rough on the U.S. I think. If you watch the entire game, you don't come away from that game going, it should have been 4-1. You come away from that game going, all right, 2-1, 2-2, depending on the United States and how they take their chances. Area code 757, who's this?
Hey, Will again.
You need a frequent caller card, Will. What's up?
Hey, no, it's just on the passing and being aggressive against the bigger team. I think we showed that we can do that. I think we got it wrong at first. I think what you were saying was, we were too slow to pass the ball, and Brazil all the big teams are going to be aggressive. You're not going to have much time on the ball. And I think we went into it at first like a little too high off of the Scotland game maybe, and we thought we could pass it around a little easier than we were. And there's nothing easy about passing the ball around Brazil. Any team like Brazil.
Right, exactly.
But in the second half, we started picking up our passing pace, and we weren't necessarily looking at every single passing option twice over. It was maybe here, okay, there, and we just passed it right off the bat. And once our passing pace got better, our movement looked a lot more fluent.
Yeah. All right, thanks for the call. We're going to get ready to wrap this up. I wanted to touch on U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame inductions happened before the game at FedEx Field. Tony Meola went in. I think Claudio Reyna was being inducted but was not there. Tony DeChico. Who am I missing?
Des Armstrong and Graham Jones.
All right, let's sneak in one more call, and then we'll touch on the Hall of Fame and a couple other things. 619, who's this?
Yeah, me again, Enrique. Just a quick question. Do you think Torres should have been subbed?
Torres, when he was subbed, should he have been subbed?
What the conversation between you and I and when we were talking back and forth when it happened was that this is Klinsman's chance. I think our thought of it was we're playing the formation right now that they're going to play, that 4-3-2-1. I think Klinsman's bought into that system. And I think by pulling Torres out and putting Dempsey in, he was seeing what that same system can give him as a look with Torres off the field and Dempsey in it. I think that's what they're going to play with Altidore up top when it comes World Cup qualifying time. And I think Torres is going to be the odd man out.
Thanks for the call, Enrique. Got to wrap this up. I heard Tony Meola was very emotional during his Hall of Fame induction. That's cool. I mean, it just shows you how much it means to him, and he's obviously, in terms of the line of great American goalkeepers, Tony's the first. He's the guy, right? It all originates from Tony Meola. So fantastic to see him go into the Hall of Fame. Anything else you want to touch on here? There's U.S. Open Cup action right now. It's hard.
Yeah, Cal FC in Portland about to kick off. I mean, that's going to be a fun thing for us to talk about. I think the only other thing we need to talk about is next game against Canada. Watch us for details. I think we're going to look to try to do something similar to what we're doing right now with the pregame, halftime, and postgame. We'll let you know for sure. Yeah, Sunday game. So I think there's not going to be any conflict. I think we'll be able to do it just fine. Watch us on Facebook. Watch us on Twitter to find out details on that.
Okay, so go to facebook.com/bestsoccershow and like the show. That's step one. Yep. Step two, continue with the reviews and the ratings on iTunes. It helps out a lot. We definitely need your support in those areas. We're on Twitter at Best Soccer Show. You can email show@bestsoccershow. Obviously, the next couple of shows are going to be game shows like this. Pre-game, post-game, halftime. So we'll be taking a lot of calls. So you just go ahead and save that number 201-430-2378. I think that's going to do it. Are we wrapping?
Also, follow like the Facebook page, because who knows when we might just hit you with some bonus content. We're talking nothing but U.S. national team lately. Maybe here or there we'll bust out 5 or 10 minutes on MLS or something like that, just to keep it fresh.
Yep, got to do that. All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. We will see you on Sunday. Bye.